Hello, guys. This is Sunny Chayes. This is Solutionary Sundays. We are in beautiful, beautiful LA. We have fields behind us, flowers are blooming, and we're in a new day. New things are happening, things are fresh. We have a new opportunity to paint a new canvas. I know so many of us out there are sort of thinking about what's next. What's my next chapter in my life? What's my third act? What can I do to be a better person? What can I do that might be creative, that I might write a book or a song or take up something I haven't done before, something that's really new that I want to do that's fresh? Because, let's all be here for a while longer and let's all make a difference. And the way that we can do that, one of the very important ways is to be our best selves and be super healthy. So as you guys know, I love to bring cutting edge, really fun, cool things to you so that we can learn things, we can be exposed to new things, and we can go deeper with things that we may already know. So today I am very, very excited to have two lovely guests from Arizona. They drove in to be here with us in studio, and we are going to be chatting about this new sort of sensation that's going on around, which is called IV hydration therapy, drip. It has all different names and things like that. And so there are many elements about that and why to be doing it, what the best benefit is. And so we're going to, Tony, shall we bring on our two experts right now? We have the Gaspars. Hello, Gaspar people. We have the Gaspars here. So this is Dr. William Gaspar and his beautiful sidekick and advisor, Ava Gaspar. So they have graced us with their presence in the studio today because we are going to talk about something that's so important for our health. And so what it is about is really, the name of their company, by the way, is BHive Wellness. And we may even name it BHive Wellness Hydration. We'll see. We're playing around with the name. It might be BHive Wellness Therapy. So look for all those three in the next little bit. And the reason we're going to be talking with the doctors and his beautiful sidekick about why we do this. And they are also opening a beautiful, beautiful center in Chandler, Arizona, where people can actually come in and be doing these things. So let us chat first with Dr. William Gaspar, MD, and all that. A very legit doc. So bring us your wisdom, doctor. Tell us a little bit about your passion about opening this center in Arizona.
Well, thanks for having us. It's a great honor. Basically, for 25 years we've been thinking about it, and my wife was encouraging me to open up a wellness clinic, holistic, where we can do a little bit more than just a regular clinic visit or hospital visit, a little bit more innovative, looking for holistic ideas.
Beautiful. And so I'm going to tell you guys a little bit in a way of what is so groovy about this. And so what it's about, actually, and actually, Tony, you can just bring us all on because we shall have a chat and let the people see all of us chatting. So the deal is this, and you guys correct me if I'm off kilter at all. When we go in, sometimes when one goes into a hospital or so, and you get an IV, you might get a vitamin C, you might get actually saline, which actually hydrates if there's something going a little bit awry, and immediate hydration needs to happen to keep us alive. It's super, super important. And so what this is all about, this can be for chronic illnesses, it can be for things that are not so bad, like let's say migraines that we get occasionally that can mitigate the pain of it. And it also can be for beautification, for preventative things or prophylactic, as we call it, or sort of before we need it sort of stuff. So let's talk a little bit about that, doctor.
I feel that as we are concerned about our Mother Earth to be in homeostasis, clean water, clean air, we have to do the same, as above, so below. So let us be that small globe, and then as we are thinking about that, it's important what are the things that we put into our body. And at times, it's important to then do the prevention, do the detoxification, and the things that will make us live longer, but also with some quality.
Well, I love that. And I do believe that our bodies are like an ecosystem. Actually, they're not like an ecosystem, they are an ecosystem. So sometimes when we go to doctors, and again, by the way, this is, I should probably do the disclaimer, which is if you have big, big issues, obviously talk to your doctors. And this is not in place of anything just to do. I mean, make sure we're all being responsible in that way. What this is about is really a couple of things that I think are so cool about it. For example, I know that a lot of us have digestive issues. Maybe they're not absolutely perfect. We don't digest everything perfectly. So when we take, let's say, vitamins or even food and things like that, it may be sort of an issue. So with the IV that goes straight into our bloodstream, it bypasses the digestive system and goes straight to where it's needed most. And so we get sort of 100% of the goodies, 100% of the vitamin C, 100% of the lysine, of any of the things that we're taking in, B12, zinc, any of the cocktail items that are in each thing, right?
Correct. I think the IV formula for most things are important to get it to the cells, but then there are some of the conditions that we're concentrating on is chronic viral infections. Now, medical research shows that they are involved in autoimmune diseases. They already sort of worked out the causation through T cells and which antibody elevates in the Epstein-Barr virus panel. So we're searching for that. And we're going to try to actually help the clients and the patients to make their immune system stronger so they can fight it off. So it's more of even a public health issue. We had the sort of like antiviral agents that we have in the hospital and sort of augment that with some natural treatment.
Yeah, and so what I love about what you have set up at the clinic, do we call it a clinic or right? So remember, guys, in the olden days when smoothies came out and you go into the Whole Foods or whatever, and there'd be that big chalkboard and it would say smoothie menu and it would say like very, very blast or, whatever. And then it would have a few of the ingredients. And then underneath it, it would sometimes say, great for a hangover or great for, athletic advancing or, healing or whatever. So that's what this is like. So they actually have a menu and there are different things that you actually pick. So some of you guys may know about the Myers cocktail. That's sort of the famous one. And that's really the all-around sort of immune boost, anti-inflammatory, detox, all of that. It has, it's all kinds of ingredients in there, all kinds of yummy bits in there to do. And a lot of people know about the Myers cocktail. That's sort of the one thing that people seem to know about. But then you have 8 to 10 other ones. And so just like Very, Very Blast, you can pick different things that fit for whatever's going on with you, right?
Correct. One of the things that we trying to draw information from is in Europe, they started doing some of the IV treatments, let's say for diabetes, liver inflammation, which we see a lot here in our country. And so it's becoming an issue for even younger middle-aged population. So we're looking at what they've been doing and how it benefits people, and we're trying to copy that a little bit.
Or implement it here.
Implement it here. So we have some things available, and I think FDA will follow.
Well, I think what's so exciting about this is I love that it's becoming more sort of mainstream. I was watching Yes, I admit it freely. I do watch the Kardashians sometimes. It's like eating a hot fudge sundae. It's so tasty when you're doing it. And then after you're sort of like, wait, where did that hour go? But some of you guys know Kendall Jenner, and I noticed that she was having the IV peeps come over to her house and invited her sisters over. They're like, what the bleep is going on here with these needles and bags and things? She's like, this is preventative. It's not, don't freak out, people. Don't freak out, sisters. And I thought, isn't that groovy? Like she's sort of making it more mainstream. And it really, really is so incredible because, again, getting things right to where it's needed, where whatever you're paying for, you might as well get bang for the buck, right? So get it to where you need it most.
Yeah.
So Ava, join us in our conversation. I want to know what you think about some of this stuff. You are the kind of holding down the fort. You're the ballast to everything. So just what do you want to say to our peeps?
Well, basically, because I am a iridologist and herbologist and naturopath, for me, it is very important to clean the body. But what I could see lots of time with people, because their digestive system is not working correctly, so even though they're eating the best food and they eating the best vitamins, they still don't feel the benefit as they should. Because when you do digestive, through the digestive system, your vitamins, 40% what you digest, the rest one is kind of like eaten by your acid and goes of whatever it is. So the great thing to me about the IV therapy is that you 100% getting into your cells right away, all the magnesium, the zincs, the vitamin C, vitamin B, everything what is needed to build the cells. So your baby cells will go stronger, and therefore they can go and rejuvenate your body, and you feel so much better.
Yes, and also we feel, again, being able to do, to do things that really benefit us in our mind, body, and spirit. And so many of the listeners out there and viewers that are tuning in today, I know a bunch of you guys do a lot of really, really cutting-edge things anyway. And so when I'm excited, the reason I invited these guys on our show is because I'm excited that this is becoming a little more mainstream. It's not that expensive. It's not that scary. It doesn't really hurt. It may look a little stranger than it actually is when you do it. It's very relaxing. You sort of sit in a chair, a big lazy chair, and drink tea and read a book or whatever. And it can take 30 minutes to an hour and a half, something like that. And just lovely music is playing. And it's just really like being in a spa and knowing every minute that you're there, that you're really doing something beautiful for your body. So that's what I'm really excited about, being able to offer these things. And places in Mexico, places in other countries do these things much more regularly. I know I go down to Mexico to a spa down there, and I was like, wait, what's going on here? All these people are sitting around in these chairs with crystals there and waterfalls, and it looks so kind of medical, but then they're also having a gay old time. They're laughing and chatting and playing around, and I thought, what in the bleep is going on around here? And then someone explained to me what was happening. I'm like, wait a minute, give me that menu. I want to have a very, very blast in my body. What is going on? So I'm excited when I found out that it's becoming more Americanized, that people are doing it here, and that you guys are actually doing it. That's why I was so excited to have this conversation with you. So, so we can all get a bit better. And again, like I was saying in the beginning, our intro, that so many of us I've talked to, guests I've had on the show, people I've chatted with personally, so many of us are in this place of like, what's next? What's it all about, Alfie? I've been doing whatever I've been doing for a long time, but I'm sort of bored, or it's like, there's got to be something better than this, something more I can be doing. Sounds like a song I know from Sweet Charity, actually. What are we doing now? And so I know that if we're wanting to do a new thing, perhaps we want to take a pickup ball or whatever it is, to have our body come with us, be on our team. Come on, let's go. It's so important, isn't it? So that's why you guys are tuning in today. That's why we're finding out about this.
I think the important part to me is that, as I'm looking at Big 7-0 in a few years, I want to be able to walk up in the hospital for, fourth floor, steps all the way 20, 30 times. I want to feel good about it. So in order for me to be able to do that, I have to do a number of things. I have to eat healthy. I have to do some supplements, do some of the IVs, meditate, pray, sleep enough, and exercise. And those are all part of growing old, sort of in a nice way.
Yes, yes. And I like, we've been talking about how to sort of chat about these things. And many of us know that about the power of the word. And so even in the way that we're forming what we're doing, again, doing this gift for ourselves, taking that time, that 30 minutes, that hour and a half, whatever it happens to be, and doing deep breathing and just relaxing and taking a moment or again an hour to really focus in on ourselves and, feel that sort of self-love. There's so many practices that people are talking about. I'm on so many calls in India, in Europe, this one, that one, talking about what we can be doing. Lots and lots of perhaps money being spent or time or flying here and there and going to retreats, standing on our head, doing whatever, so many things. And it's like there are things we can just do wherever we are and doesn't have to cost a lot of money. And it can be, again, I'm from Chicago, so I like to get bang for the buck. So I'm really about how can we get as much as we can and implement these things as deeply and also knowing that we really are giving our body a gift. So Ava, in your experience with working with people in what we used to call alternative medicine, now I believe we're turning that word into integrative medicine. I just love being the age I am, seeing how words change over the years. It's like, oh my goodness, let's keep it sharp, let's keep it new and fresh. We don't call it anti-aging, we call it rejuvenation, revitalizing. So in your practice from before, like you were saying, I think one of the big things, and I know Dr. William, you would say this too, is the issue of inflammation. It's a big, kind of almost buzzword these days, and I was just before I came over here, I was chatting with some family members of mine, and they were talking about a dear friend of theirs, another family friend of ours, who's working so hard. He's 35, I believe. He has gout. He has these businesses. He's so driven, to sort of make more money, but that's because he has a new baby. He's making his mark in the world and all that. And of course, gout is, sort of all about inflammation and kidney and this and that. So I was thinking, oh my God, dude, you need some IVs. But again, I think the pressure, the stress, the focus on outer, and not the inner, and again, the inflammation issue. It's huge, isn't it?
I feel that inflammation, you could almost say shorter lifespan is almost equate to that. So if we can avoid the inflammation part, then it will benefit our organs and our longevity. We live longer without much inflammation, and I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and I actually want to ask our very, very wise and brilliant and very handsome Tony if he would like to weigh in. Is it possible for you to do that, or at a certain point, join our conversation? Because I know Tony, who owns our studio and also has been in this world a lot too, and so I'm curious if you have any questions or if you have anything to add to our conversation.
I guess as somebody that's starting to hit of a certain age,
Although you don't look like it, so you're doing something right. Something
be
right.
55 this year.
Really?
I will. But for somebody that really has, I've always been in fitness. I've always, really taken care of myself when it comes to eating and not drinking alcohol and not smoking and not doing any drugs. how important is that, or, the IVs and what you're talking about to enhance even what I'm doing now as I'm getting older too? Because I did get off gluten, and which helped with my inflammation, because my joints were hurting, and once I got off gluten, it did make a difference. And I don't do dairy anymore, which also helped. So how does that enhance what I'm already doing when it comes to the IV?
So one of the things that we see with, let's say, autoimmune diseases, which are, they claim that our immune system attacks the body, which it does, that we're recognizing that there is a chronic virus underlying it, and it's the Epstein-Barr virus most commonly.
Which I've been diagnosed with.
Mentioned.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
A lot of people have that. And, some people have the Epstein-Barr virus. They show in the blood. 90-some% of the world's population has it, and their immune system does not react. So it's not necessarily something that's going to act up. But if it does, if the inflammation is there, if the immune system is acting up with all of its bad side effects and creating lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, then when one sees that chronic viral infection, then it's worth giving it a try to eliminate it.
So as far as my analogy of very, very blast for in other words, what would those be? I mean, are there, and you don't have to go through all the, the ingredients or whatever, but are there sort of like, would Myers cocktail help with that? Are there certain ones that are, in answer to Tony, like if you were to come in your clinic, like there would be something to assist him? And I think what Tony is actually asking is, he's kind of doing a lot of stuff already. Like he's got it kind of down. I mean, it's like, whoa, what else, come on, like what else can we do? He's doing really well. And so I believe, I don't mean to translate, but like if people are already doing really well, are IV drips still beneficial?
So,
is that?
Yeah. So if someone is doing good, I'm never the salesperson. I'm more like,
even though you're on my show to sell, but go ahead.
But even then, people come into our clinic. We just had one lady there, and she says, I have osteoarthritis. Is Myers cocktail something that I would benefit from? And my answer was, I don't think so, but let me look it up. And sure enough, I found an article that talks about its benefit. But so it's more like if someone is already doing the right things and they feel good, I change it.
Well, but I would add to that, and I don't mean to disagree with you, doctor, but I would say that I, like Tony, have been doing, you just can't even imagine from the time I was little. I mean, I was raised by really cool parents, so I just feel super fortunate. And I still find benefit because I think it's preventative. I think it's great for skin and nails and hair. I think it is, like, I like to do preventative things. I don't want to wait until something is a problem. I'm not about that at all. I just am not. So I feel certain things, I mean, even like vitamin C drip and things like that, where it's just, like we all get tired sometimes. I mean, you work 10, 12, 14, sometimes 16 hours a day. So no doubt your maybe thyroid, or listen to me, I'm like the doctor on the show. Oh my goodness, I can be your sidekick too.
Nice.
But these things wear down. And so I feel like it's something that is, again, even for beautification, plumping up, is something that people could do, sort of periodically, once a month, a couple times a year, to make sure, because we just don't know. And if you already have Epstein-Barr, kind of looming, something could rear up. So would not a number of these IVs give Tony I don't want to say preventative necessarily, but also buck him up? I guess that's the best way to put it. I don't know how else to say it.
May I?
Please do. Jump in.
Yes, the advisor coming in. And so basically,
I know Dr. William is so modest. And
Yes,
he's trying to
he's
not to
pretty
be a salesperson,
Yes.
but go ahead.
yeah.
You're his sales. Yeah,
Exactly.
you're his.
We just had a lady who haven't eaten for 10 days because she had so much inflammation, herpes in her body.
Ooh.
And they couldn't go and take care of it regular antibiotics. So we were the last resort. After the second treatment, she said, the inflammation went out from my mouth. High dose vitamin C with Myers cocktail. Very high dose. And then within 5 days, she said, well, the fifth treatment, she said, I am actually feeling better and I felt from years. And she was laughing. I'm eating. So they have, I think when you have like the ABC virus herpes or something like that in your body, to me, it is essential to go and get something strong and something with your body, because with antibiotics, basically your body is going to fight. There's going to fight because it's not a natural part of your creation. I mean, you had not been created with crude oil. And so basically, you know,
and plastics and
Yes. So basically, you know, when your body taking in high dose vitamin C, it's helping so much to go and make the immune system to bring it up to it's more the best possibility to go and fight out the disease.
and just be strong and vital. And you know, the other thing that I have noticed in my many years, many decades now of being in sort of the health conversation is that things that people talked about many years ago, even decades ago, about like, oh, doing oil pulling, you know, this is an ancient practice. I'm sure a lot of you guys know what I'm talking about, but it's sort of taking a really healthy oil. It can be sesame or avocado or olive. Some people even say coconut oil, putting it in your mouth and swishing it around for like a long time, longer than it's comfy for me. But anyway, it's supposed to be amazing to pull toxins out of your whole system, but it's great for your teeth, this or that. Well, this is an ancient practice. I believe from India. So I feel like when we're talking about certain things, that's one of the sort of rules that I've made for myself when people talk about, oh, coffee is good for you. Well, no, now it's not. Well, yes, it is. Well, no, decaf. Well, no, decaf has chemicals. Well, now do water process. Well, now just go back to regular coffee. Like wine is good for you. Oh, but this one, but the grapes, or chocolate is good, this or that. Like, I just feel that if we do what our body asks us to do, and when you guys, you know, sort of hear about this, research it, feel into it, that when you're with it, that things that can be either brewing, dormant, that these sort of buck up things will allow anything like that. Because what happens is you have something dormant and then something else kicks in, like let's say stress, you have a death in the family, you have a, you know, all your money's gone, you know, whatever. And then all of a sudden you get Epstein-Barr flares up and then you're just miserable. And if it all is well, it's like the pond, you know, the dredgy stuff is on the bottom until you kick it up. And then now we have, you know, a mess. So I feel like that's what I'm about. Like that's why I do it. So do you have any other questions, Tony? Or as we're chatting,
just as you're chatting, more will come up.
Yes, please do. So one thing I want to talk about that you guys like to talk about, and I actually like to too, is our new friend, the mitochondria. We used to think that the again, with the what are we learning in our, you know, biology and stuff, physiology. So we used to think the nucleus was kind of the, you know, engine, driver, energy source. Beep, beep, beep. That's where it was all happening. And now we're finding out that it's a mitochondria. And so I was learning when I was reading through about the IVs and different specific ingredients, shall we say, that can go, you know, like you were saying, Ava, straight to the cells. They go into the mitochondria, that very important, how do we say, engine, I guess we would say, energetic engine, to keep it very vital. So again, we can do this living till 120 if we're in the mood to do that. I don't know. I'm not sure. If things really change, that's what we're all going to stay alive, and let's create a different world that we want to stay alive till we're 120. Let's think of it that way. Okay, Tony?
Exactly.
Amen to that one. But so if you want to talk about the mitochondria, either one of you guys.
So basically, one of the things that I learned just in the last couple of years since Eva planted that idea of a wellness clinic into my head, so I started studying, and
That's all you're doing, eh?
I blame her for that. But I had to go back to the basics and then look at the mitochondria and see what it requires, what are the rate-limiting steps to produce energy, let's say, in the liver. The reason why I'm bringing up the liver, because in the last few years, I've seen several more younger generation people, 25, 35, 48, coming in with liver inflammation or even with liver cirrhosis. And then you have to say, well, not much I can do for you. I mean, wait a few years and you die, and that's going to solve it. And in the meantime, we'll take out some fluid from your stomach.
And let me ask you a question. When you're noticing with these kids, are they drinkers?
I would say most of them, and it's probably the time, the stress we went through.
Okay.
We might have all done some of that, eating unhealthy and drinking more. But regardless, someone 42 coming in having liver cirrhosis, and I'm sorry, you're going to have some serious problems. Now, at least I can say there is alpha lipoic acid that's the European Drug Commission approves to use for improving the liver. And how it does it is it goes into the mitochondria and increases the energy production of the engine of the cell of the liver. And that's, to me, is amazing, because we have something in our hands that we can do for these young people, and instead of saying, I'm sorry, not much I can do for you.
Whew. Well, that's fantastic. And again, I'm sure a lot of you guys know that we have about 64,000, trillion cells. I've heard that it's more even, but let's just use that number as a round number for the moment. That's a lot of cells. And they do replicate. They die off. New ones are born. I understand with the stomach is something like every 3 months we have a new stomach. I mean, there are many, many organs that really rebirth. And of course, we in the New Thought world love the idea of rebirth, like renew, rebirth, rejuvenate, rejoice, remember, all that stuff. And so let's do it. So would it also be true that if we're rebirthing, rejuvenating, that we have the opportunity to have it not replicate something that is old and cirrhosis-y or, like that, but it gets rebirthed in a new, fresh way, like a baby or like a new cell? Is that how the mitochondria operates?
Well, it's basically helping the liver regenerate, which it has capability. It's not going to go from stage 4 liver cirrhosis to normal liver, but if it gives you 10, 15 years more to live healthier because you went from stage 4 down to stage 2 or from 3 down to 1, it makes the difference.
Absolutely.
With all the other changes that someone needs to make and eliminate all those harmful substances.
A lot of you guys know that I'm quite dear friends with Dr. Sue Morter, and many of you know who she is, and she does just incredible work in the world. And she actually said at one point, and I'm paraphrasing, so Dr. Sue, I hope I'm saying this correctly if you see this show, but she did say something to the effect of, at any given time, if we were to go to the doctor and get evaluated, if there was a way to have a full body scan, that a doctor or an evaluator, let's say, would see a cancer growth. We also have, so if that were to be on a certain day where a certain doctor sees a lump or a tumor or something, then all of a sudden all this energy goes on it, and then it becomes like a real thing, and then it, we have to have operations and all these kinds of things. Dr. Sue's idea is that we actually have, not the idea, but she feels very strongly that we have the ability to fight these things off, that these how do we say, aberrant cells, these misbehaving cells are, sort of there all the time, coming, going, coming, excuse me, in any of our organs. And so if we have this very strong buck-up situation in the body, that we can, again, I don't like to use the term fight because that feels, but we can just overpower, perhaps is a better way of saying it, that the healthy overpowers the errant cells and just says, enough of you, away, you're not part of our tribe, sweat out or get out of here, however that they say it to them. But is that not possible? So again, with the hydration, with the IVs, that is something that gives us kind of superpowers. Come on, sell it, William. I know you're so modest.
Definitely, all of those things help. I think what I think about, for example, even this clinic, we're offering people to come in for a 30-minute complimentary visit and bring your labs, and we'll discuss everything and anything. You don't have to buy anything. Just share information with us and share your concern. I think that's something that when I was working in a clinic, I didn't have the time to do. And I enjoy the fact that now I can offer it. If I overgo and I do 45 minutes with someone because I have time, I feel useful. And then it's not about money. It's not about move every 15 minutes. And that gives me the freedom to discuss things that I otherwise would not.
Well, and then you discover something, and then in really being with the person, you can find other things. Like here, Tony's talking about doing so many things, quote unquote, right, sort of, I mean, gosh, I don't know how you don't do gluten and you don't do dairy. It's like, what do you eat? I don't know. And he doesn't drink coffee either. It's like, I always want to bring him a lovely latte. And he's like, well, no, we don't do that. Like, oh, right, oh, fine. And still, he has Epstein-Barr. Now, Tony, has it ever kicked into gear? I mean, affected you in a negative way?
In my 20s, I had mono. And after that is when, every so often when stressful situation, it would kick in, and I'm like, am I getting sick? But then no, I never got sick. In fact, I knock on wood, I've not had the flu in 30-40 years. So I'm assuming it's always just Epstein-Barr kind of making itself known. And so yeah, I think it does kick in, and then usually it goes away fairly quickly.
Mm-hmm. And because of your lifestyle that way. So I think again, with your question, Tony, sort of for even those that don't have something to, like a problem to solve. And that's sort of where I was with it, where it was like, I feel my energy is quite good. I mean, I do get sad sometimes. I feel like, and I wonder if that's hormonal or if it's just circumstantial because, there are a lot of things to be sad about in the world. And there's also a lot of things to be joyous about. So, I do balance it out. And being a Gemini, I feel things very deeply. So it sort of like goes with the territory. And I consider that, though, too. It's like, okay, if I'm having a little bit of, extra chocolate or something, is that playing around with my liver, which is sort of the land of well-being, right? So if you're having anger or frustration and stuff, the liver can start talking. And honestly, I had that. I had everything, I was doing things so healthfully and all of that kind of stuff, but I did have a bit of a liver issue. And it was, for me, about stopping a few foods I was eating, but I was also doing a lot of earthing. I went barefoot. In my world, I only wear stilettos, cowboy boots, or barefoot. That's my deal, guys. That's my jam. So I would be out and about a lot barefoot. And the practitioner who was working with me said, oh, my God, I mean, your liver is really like not that happy, but it would be way worse if you weren't earthy. He couldn't figure it out. And then I came in one time barefoot and he's like, wait a minute. Is that something you do very often? And then he put it together. But I really worked on my anger thing. And I noticed even when I was doing meditation and I've done yoga off and on for many, many years, and I couldn't stand sun salutation. I'm like, I hate this thing. I hate doing sun salutation. Have me do anything but sun salutation. I want to slap people. So I was like, what is that about with me? And then I realized that when you do sun salutation, you're really pushing on your liver. And it was activating my anger. And that's why I just couldn't stand sun salutation. So, it's fun, guys, to kind of fluff this stuff up and experiment and play around and see what's going on. If you guys do have something, if you do have some sort of chronic thing, and even if it is emotional or you just feel stuck spiritually or in your life about that book you are meant to write or that play you're meant to, get out there on Broadway, it can be physiological too.
Eva tells me a lot of times with the anger issues that look at the liver,
Mm-hmm.
and that's sort of her training from Farida. You talk about it a little bit.
That's basically iridology. So iridology, what you see your body parts. So what are the challenges? Iridology doesn't tell you have cancer or you have lupus. What it has 4 stages of the disease in iridology: overactivity, inflammation, what is white. You have yellow when it's like, let's say you have a cold, that's a white coloring information in 3 o'clock in your eyes, what is basically your lungs, both sides. Your eyes. When you have yellow, that's when you have bronchitis. So that's when it's coming back. So that's the second stage. The third stage is brown, when you get like a chronic bronchitis. The fourth stage, when you become dark black, that's basically will be COPD, the chronic diseases of the lungs. So basically, when you do rejuvenation, you could reverse that. You could reverse, but you have to focusing in my field, of course, mono diet, juice cleanses, baths, walking, definitely to get friendly with the earth. But what I see with the IV therapies is basically you're feeding the babies. The brand new babies, what you're creating every second, you're creating babies, but they're not getting fed.
Mm-hmm.
So when we are going and digest food, it takes 5 hours to 14 hours. If you eat a good steak with everything, 68% of your energy goes to digest food. You have no energy to rebuild your body, and you're feeding the old cells, and the young cells will go and vanish.
Yes, the new baby cells need our attention.
Yes.
Tony, you may remember, who is the person, was it Louise Hay, or who was the person who originally sort of talked about each body part was like for example, if you're having, like, liver has to do with anger, if you're having issues with your eyes, cataracts or things like that, it's like, what are you afraid of seeing? Was it Louise Hay, or It's Going to Come to Me? You guys know out there in Sunny Chayes, Solutionary Sundays world, it'll come to me. The idea, though, I was so grateful that I learned this at such a young age from my, again, very cool parents. It was like, well, if I was having a bit of soreness in my back, it's like, what am I holding myself back from? What is happening? If you're, I believe the knees are about abandonment issues, things like that. So with all of these practices, with all of these modalities, I mean, I feel like they really work together well. And that's why I find that when with any of them, it has so much to do with the sort of self-love piece, because it's like, even in taking those steps, sort of prioritizing a bit of money to give to, let's say, doing IV practices, anything that we're doing, it's that if we're eating great food, like I was just talking to someone about how it was a study in France that they were eating, creams and all these different things, but they weren't really getting fat or having, very many issues. And it was because when they were eating, they were very peaceful. they were chatting, they were having an hour lunch, a 2-hour lunch, same with the Italians. And there's so many cultures that we can look at around the world that when one is enjoying food, it's peaceful, it's taking a long time. And I feel like one of the things that really affected Americans, I mean, I get a big kick out of this because I'm an environmentalist. And so I tell people, do you realize there used to not be cup holders in cars? Like, we had our lovely coffee at home. We read the paper. We had toast and whatever we were having. Then we got our stuff together. We got in our car and we drove to wherever we were going. I mean, right? I just remember A&W, like when they would drive up and then they would put the little thing you would eat in your car in that way. But there wasn't this whole idea of quick eating or driving in the car, almost having an accident. And, and I know that's not good for our bodies. So, right?
Correct.
So, guys, I want to let you know that we are wrapping. Our time goes so quickly. We're getting to the end of our time together. So I want to ask each of you in a minute or less just to say whatever you would like to say to our peeps, and then I shall wrap us up a little bit.
I would like to say is that you have an opportunity if you live in our neighborhood to come in, either talk to a doctor or an herbalist, and you have 30 minutes, or if it takes more free complimentary visit, and just bring your problems, bring your labs and medical history, and we'd be happy to entertain it and look at it in a sort of functional way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to give you something for a symptom. I want to find out what causes the symptom and work at the origin of the problem.
Beautiful. Love that. And Ava, our lovely and beautiful Ava, what would you like to say to our people?
I would like to say thank you for listening to us. First of all, I had a really great time, and I really believe what we are doing will make a difference in people's life, because that's our purpose. That's how really at the chronic fatigue fibromyalgia, and that's how we got healed with a high-dose vitamin C, 5 doses, and that was in 2008, and he doesn't have it ever since. So that was the biggest issue for me, what was so important, to go and do something, because if we can do it for him, then I believe we can do for anybody. At least we are over there to listen, we are over there to help you, and you feel like, okay, I'm doing something about myself for me to feel better in this time in my life.
Beautiful. And so, guys, yes, they are in Arizona, the BHive Wellness Clinic Therapy IV place is in Arizona. They will at some point soon have a way to go to other places. I mean, they have their clinic that's in one place, and they'll have a mobility way at some point. And so we're really hoping that you check these guys out at BHiveMedical.com, and also just check it out in general and understand what this is about, because it's really becoming cool and more mainstream. And again, I'm so grateful that you guys are with us today on Solutionary Sundays here in Hollywood. And I really, really know that we're in a place of change and growth and regrowth and rebirth and all the things we were talking about before. And I want to remind you to do something for yourself today that your future self will thank you for. So until next time, this is Sunny Chayes, and we shall see you soon. Bye, guys.
Thank you.